Pope Francis, also known as the People's Pope due to his acts of kindness towards the poor and commitment to social justice. Zen Hernandez now gives us a look back at the life and legacy of the People's Pope.
The somber tolling of St. Peter's Basilica's great bell, known as Il Campanone, echoed throughout the Vatican to announce the passing of the Pope. Soon, church bells all over Rome joined in. Last February 14, Pope Francis was admitted at the Gemelli Hospital in Rome for bronchitis. Although the pontiff had repeatedly battled and hurdled respiratory health issues, this time it developed into pneumonia on both lungs. Before this, the Pope managed to meet with Vatican officials and guests and even presided a Sunday Mass despite having difficulty breathing and having to pass on speeches to his aide. He didn't stop working at the hospital. During his first 2 days, he made video calls to the Holy Family Parish in Gaza, led by an Argentine priest. He made the call every evening at 8 p.m. local time for nearly 15 months that Gaza was being bombed to check in on the parishioners and impart his blessing. On the third day, the Pope sent a text message to the parish priest to once again extend his blessing and thank the parishioners for their prayers. On February 19, Pope Francis also accepted the resignation of a Canadian bishop accused of sexual abuse and appointed a new one. But after many days in the hospital, the Pope gave in to his illness. He was 88 years old. Pope Francis, born Jorge Mario Bergoglio on December 17, 1936, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, was the first pope from South America and the first non-European pope in over 1,200 years. The eldest of 5 children of an Italian immigrant father and an Argentine mother, he worked as a bouncer, janitor, and as a chemical technician, for which he earned a diploma. At the age of 21, he contracted severe pneumonia, which required the excision of a part of his right lung. His recovery from the life-threatening episode of his life became a major turning point, as he then entered seminary and joined the Society of Jesus as a novice in 1958. He studied humanities, philosophy, and theology. He taught literature and psychology and was ordained into priesthood in 1969. He was named Auxiliary Bishop of Buenos Aires in 1992, Archbishop in 1998, and Cardinal in 2001. Amidst the economic crisis and recession in Argentina in 1998, Cardinal Bergoglio gained recognition for his humility. He lived in a modest apartment, cooked his own meals, walked and used public transportation, and made regular pastoral visits to the poorest communities in Buenos Aires. In 2013, the world was shocked by the resignation of Pope Benedict XVI, and in a papal conclave, Cardinal Bergoglio was elected as the new pope by 115 cardinal electors. He was the first to take the papal name Francis in honor of the humble saint from Assisi, known for his devotion to the poor. As the leader of the Catholic Church, this also became the main theme of Pope Francis's work, who became known as the People's Pope. In his over 40 international trips, he prioritized many small countries in Europe, Africa, and Asia. In 2015, he became the 3rd pope to visit the Philippines. He presided a mass at the Manila Cathedral and motorcaded throughout Manila, where an estimated 6 million Filipinos lined the streets. But even more unforgettable was the Pope's Mass in Tacloban Airport, which, although short and met by bad weather, was very meaningful for the victims of Typhoon Yolanda. Pope Francis also made a significant contribution to diplomacy, acting as a bridge in the restoration of relations between the United States and Cuba, including the release of political prisoners. He also visited Iraq in 2021 to encourage dialogue among different religions. Pope Francis also repeatedly condemned the wars of Russia in Ukraine and Israel in Gaza, and became one of the strongest voices calling for peace. He also called for compassion for refugees and rebuked the mass deportation of illegal immigrants by the Trump administration in America, saying that it damages the dignity of people who only left their land for reasons of extreme poverty, exploitation, or persecution. The Catholic Church also became more inclusive under Pope Francis. In 2023, he approved a Vatican ruling allowing blessings for same-sex couples. He also criticized laws against homosexuality and stated that it is not a crime, although he later clarified that sexual intercourse outside of marriage is a sin. He encouraged the church to be more welcoming to single parents, cohabiting couples, and divorced individuals, and even presided over the marriage of 20 couples with similar circumstances in 2014. Pope Francis also focused on the issue of sexual abuse in the church. In 2019, he called a bishops' summit to discuss the problem and instituted a law requiring all dioceses worldwide to act on and investigate cases of sexual abuse. Based on Vatican tradition, the papal ring and seal are smashed upon the death of a pontiff to mark the end of his reign. The burial takes place 4 to 6 days after his death, while the church observes 9 days of mourning called Novem Diales. The Pope's remains will no longer be displayed in a raised platform, however, since based on the new funeral rites of the Vatican, signed by Pope Francis himself in April 2024, the remains must be immediately placed in an open wooden coffin. The tradition of using 3 coffins of cypress, lead, and oak has also been abolished. Pope Francis had also previously stated that he wished to be buried in Santa Maria Maggiore, where he often prayed instead of at the St. Peter's Basilica like his predecessors. For Pope Francis, the changes was necessary to better express the faith of the Church in the risen Christ. It also emphasizes that the Roman pontiff is not a person symbolizing power, but a pastor and a disciple of Christ. Zen Hernandez, ABS-CBN News.